This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
With the majors looking to face drivers off against the most difficult, the most challenging, and the most prestigious events the world of racing has to offer, today becomes a test of their precision and their tenacity. In recent years, iRacing has added to the service the IR18 IndyCar and the street circuit on Belle Isle. Though this track might not be well-renowned outside of IndyCar circles, its bumpy and unforgiving nature means it certainly deserves a place on the schedule. Because not only will the drivers have to tackle this once, but twice, with a doubleheader weekend much like the real IndyCar series does. There might not be blistered hands and battered bodies, but we'll see if it's just as punishing on our drivers' egos as we get ready to watch the Majors Detroit Grand Prix. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Bill Soup Zahn. Next to him is Sean Ambrose, and behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, who's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, I think this track is one that has translated the challenges well to iRacing thanks to their laser scanning.
Yes, absolutely, and they had to get it in quick, Joe, because this is a temporary circuit, a street circuit. And listen, let's look at the nuts and bolts real quick. 14 turns, 2.35 miles, 3.78 kilometers if you're counting that way. But it's basically the Detroit River has this Belle Isle here, okay? It's a 982-acre island. It's owned by the city of Detroit, and it's leased by the state of Michigan, who now manages it with the Department of Natural Resources. Now, it was the home of the Detroit Grand Prix from 92 to 2001, and again, they set this up in just a matter of days, and I believe it's only like literally in place for 14 days out of the entire year. So got to get it in quick. Kart ran here 2000, 2007, and 2008. But this circuit has now come alive with IndyCar. We were just here a couple weeks ago. The best way to take a look at it, though, is from right on board our GSRC Dallara IR18 here at Belle Isle.
All right, we've got Phil Lake in the GSRC IR18, so let's do a lap around Detroit. Down through turns 1 and 2, these are very swift with little room for error. Be careful over the hump on the exit of 2 because you can either wash out into the wall or get loose and slide it across into the opposite side. On the run to 3, expect most passes to be made here. But if you think you won't be able to make the turn, it's better to bail out early or else you'll just plow into the tires. After that, you've got a short squirt on the power before 4, which is a little quicker than you'd expect. Then you've immediately got to switch sides for 5. The way this corner narrows up makes it unwise to go too wide here. After that is the critical exit for turn 6. There's a crest on the entry to cause understeer and then a bunch of bumps coming off of it that make applying the power an exercise in patience. But don't hesitate too much because you need as much speed as possible down the backstretch along the Detroit River. However, know that the racing line takes the braking across the track, so it's hard to tell if someone is defending. Now it's mostly single file through the fountain section where you're going to head past the casino. Even though it's tough to pass, you don't want to give up too much time by being slow in this part. 11 is the sharpest and slowest turn on the course, once again requiring a light right foot to keep the bumps from spinning the tires too much. Then you've got 12 and 13, two of the most underrated corners on the track. Fast, with no room on either side for mistakes, you've got to be absolutely perfect to nail these. At last, you're free to open up the throttle again through the final turn, and you've now hopefully finished a lap around Detroit. You see a lap around Detroit and just how bumpy it is over this circuit. We'll be talking about that a lot. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the points. Bill, what's the championship situation?
Okay, not unusual to see Blake Reynolds at the top of the chart here as we reach the halfway mark. What I want to talk about mostly here is the team represented for each one of these, as we keep in mind that these don't take into account the 2 drop races allowed for one for the road and one for the ovals. Notice there are 5 different teams represented on there. The Apex is the only team not on the team championship, with Eric Smith, the only driver not represented there. Let's go ahead and look at the team championships real quick. And here you see Alliance with Matthew Thunhorse doing most of the heavy lifting. They sit on the top. Liam Quinn is the big earner for Kinetic Americas as they sit in second spot. Now, Travis Warling just jumped onto the driver overlay. You saw him making it up to the top 5, and his team moves up the spot, pushing Riding Shotgun down a position. Riding Shotgun got off to a slow start, had worked their way all the way up into second, has fallen down into 4th. And coming back on the chart now is Dog Bear Racing, the red team. Good to see them back. Let's go ahead and look at the sportsman's class. Couple drivers moving up to the top, Rod Powers and Samuel Scott. We don't see a lot of these drivers because a lot of times they end up in the sportsman split. Nick Kuhn moves up 2 spots. Everybody coming up there. We had a couple drivers get pushed off the graphic. Let's go ahead and look at the Get Off My Lawn category here, the America's Legends. Everybody holding station on this one. The Popsicle Man, Brian Barnes, coming back on as he scoots up into 5th position. But Brian Barnett really dominating this one. Joe?
Thanks for that, Bill. Today's race is actually going to be today's races. So why don't we go through the races details? Sean, what do you think we have in store today for these cars?
Well, okay, so we're running 2 races. This is the duel in Detroit, 2 35-lap races. Now, qualifying's already been sorted out for the first race, so we're good to go there. Okay, now we will have a 4-lap qualifier for the second race. This is round 8 in what is a 14-race schedule here in the majors this year. Yes, we're running all year. But today's weapon of choice, of course, is the Delara Sure, I can talk, guys. The Delara IR18. I know what kind of car it is. Now, of course, this is the second time we've seen this car this season. We've already run the Indy 500. We're back in the Delara again here in Detroit. It is an open setup, of course. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means they've carefully prepared these cars to survive this what I like to call a teeth-rattling experience here. But again, 2 35-lap races today. The 17-point incident cap is in place, and guys are going to struggle with that today. I know 35 laps doesn't seem like a lot around here, but it is when you're trying to avoid the walls. It's going to be a very, very tough race. You only get 1 extra car, 1 crack at it. It's probably not enough here. There are many that are not in favor of having any at all, but if there was ever a track that you maybe wanted 2, 3, or 4 cars, this would probably be it. Of course, the pros don't have to worry about that. I'm a bit of a spare, so that's my concern. Maybe not every driver in this race.
Certainly, it is going to be a tough one as we watch Lionel Kalisto somehow manage to get around with only half of his front wing. However, if you want to help out with the majors, you can buy something from their store. If you get the opportunity, go to their website. It is pacificmajors.com/store. Buy yourself some swag and feel good about helping the series continue on. But also, it's not just doing good for themselves. The majors looks to do good for the world around them. They're doing something special this year by allowing members to nominate charity causes for each round. Drivers can buy extra qualifying attempts, and that money goes towards each round's cause. Race 8's charity is Cancer Council Australia. Cancer Council is the only charity in Australia to work across every area of every cancer, from research to prevention and support. They help people from the point of diagnosis through to treatment and survivorship. The majors raised $30 towards the charity this week. If you'd like to find out more on how you can get involved and help them, check out their website at cancer.org.au. And as always, these races, I should say, are brought to you on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe. All you got to do is go to their YouTube page, click the red button that says subscribe, and you can watch each round of the majors on your YouTube feed. As was mentioned by Sean, the qualifying is over, so what we're watching right now is the warm-up. And Sean also mentioned the teeth-rattling nature of this track. Now, they don't physically have to feel it, but we have a little bit of help in the booth here tonight. Christian Challoner has joined us. He's one of the competitors in the majors over in the European version of the series. And Christian, you were talking about just how difficult it is to run these two races. I have to imagine, even if you don't have the physical challenges, what is the mental exhaustion like after two of these things?
Oh, I mean, it's honestly insane. It's probably the most difficult race I think that we're going to have all season, just because if you make even the slightest mistake, it's going to end your race, or at the very least you'll be taking the tow and getting the backup car out. It's certainly extremely tough mentally. Even if you're trying to be conservative, it's still extremely difficult, because I mean, they just saw in practice the slight mistake down by the fountain, and it's all over for you. So, especially with two races as well, with the half points for each, it makes it nicer, but it also makes it worse, because you can really harm yourself in points.
Yeah, I can imagine. So this one will be important. It could cause a bit of a change in the championship. We'll see if Blake Reynolds is better on the road side in an Indy car than he is on the oval side, as he's fared well at Indy in pace, but just not in finishing positions in the 500. And this year, the same could be said with how he did there at Indianapolis. So Detroit hopefully will help offer him some better things. Bill, we of course have pit stops to take into account, and in the real world, they don't have tire warmers on these cars, and here in iRacing they don't have tire warmers on these cars, and it seems like the drivers have been talking a lot about the overcut instead of the undercut.
Yeah, the first lap out on the cold tires is going to be really tricky. They can go about 24 laps of the 35 on schedule. I was noticing through most of the other regions that the guys like to run long, and that kind of makes sense. You want the car as light as possible. No reason to come in early and race extra with a heavy tank. Joe, I want to talk about the rule package that is interesting on this as we're just about done with practice. Drivers really have to work hard on qualifying time to make this top split, and sometimes that allows them or affords them not to have a very good car in race setup, because they have to concentrate so much on making the field. Now, not so much for like drivers like Christian, who can roll out of bed and make the top split without really working on it, but for guys at the back of the pack that really had to struggle to get here, watch out for them really having a hard time when it's coming to the race, because how much time do you really have to get that practice set up or that race set up when you're working so hard to get qualifying?
That's a good point. And you've got to get a setup too for two different races, Sean. They are mimicking a little bit like what the real one does, with slightly different times, except in this case they're making it like it's on the same day.
Yeah, well, exactly. This first session here is in the morning. And they started the track green at 0. Now race 2 will begin, that practice session will begin at 50%, and they'll transition to later in the day. In fact, that session will start technically at noon, and they'll have that 10-minute qualifying session of 4 laps like we had talked about. But this morning session, you talked about the cold tires. Well, cold tires, cold track. It's going to be very sketchy these first several laps, as this track isn't sketchy enough. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting, guys.
And the grid is set, so let's get it in before we go around on that pace lap. Up at the top, it is going to be Steve Driscoll on the pole with Travis Warling, starting on the outside of him. Trevor Clement will be in P3 with Eric Smith. He's come in recently and shown to be very fast in a number of cars. He'll start 4th. Matthew Thunhorst, our runner-up in the championship, currently starts P5. Jason Fleischle back once again will be starting on the outside of row 3. Lionel Calisto will be 7th, with Kevin Hill starting 8th, and then Patrick Fleming in 9th. And Bill, rounding out the top 10 is our championship leader, Blake Reynolds.
A little further down than you might expect. Ross Banfield is in the 11th position, flanked by Mr. Excitement, Liam Quinn. Emile Carpentier in the 12th spot. In the Baker's Dozen spot. Outside of him is Dick Mueller. Lance Nassier in the 15th, Andrew Oakey, Clark Archer, Scott Corbin in 18th, Matthias Magnuson in 19th, and in 20th, Marcus Tracy. Sean?
All right, Soup, and then we're going to go to Wade Hayes in the 33 there, Richard Tam, and we'll start 22nd in the 879. Brian McGreevy going to start 23rd. Jeff Schmeier, 13th row, Jimbo Pfeiffer, Brian Bennett, row 14, Taft Baldwin, Brian Barnes, and Wayne Hutchinson rounding out this field. Gentlemen.
Just as the pace car peels off, we are green for race 1 here in round 8, and off like a shot goes Steve Driscoll. He's followed by Clement, who manages to sneak to the inside of Trevor Warling, who immediately spins off and gets into the wall. He's having to wait for a lot of cars to get by. Here at the start, we saw our first victim of turn 2 before we even get by it. Down into turn 3. Most everybody looking to... Oh, and was that someone else getting into the wall? Oh my goodness, this has been a massacre. Looks like Clement finds himself clipping the outside of turn 5, and he is now turned around.
Can do nothing, Joe. He's just stuck there.
Also have Matthew Thunhorst finding himself in trouble. He clipped the wall too.
And Travis Warling involved in the first spin, yeah.
And Eric Smith now is promoted to second because of that. Fleischle is in third, and Driscoll is streaming away from the field, making this look easy.
Yeah, Brian McGreevy had trouble back there also, guys. He had to tow it in.
We expected this to be an attrition-filled race, but already drivers finding themselves in the wall. 3 of them, at least, that we saw on the first lap. Coming across the line, Driscoll leads the first one. Eric Smith, as I mentioned, following. Fleischle in third. Lionel Callisto trailing behind P4. He's got Blake Reynolds, who has inherited some positions from those accidents. He's up to 5th now, not close enough for an attack. Oh, and behind him, another car in the wall. This time, Emile Carpentier finds the tires out of 3.
That's 4 drivers.
The good news is they do have the spare car, and I think a number of them have already come in for that. Unfortunately, not as early as they wanted to. Christian, it seems like we've got a few drivers that are going to have to get back out there and deal with that pit exit.
Yeah, I mean, especially kind of those mistakes that like Warling made, that's really going to kill his race. He's going to have to basically get right back through the field. I know he's extremely fast, but it's going to be a long run for him from here. And Thunhorst, I was surprised to see off as well. I think
is the opening lap like a pit exit? I mean, are they dealing with cold tires on the opening lap like they would on first tires?
Yeah, it's really similar, especially off of 2. It's very, very easy to make that mistake, and as you saw there, it kind of caught people out pretty quickly.
You can see Jason Fleischle set the fastest lap of the race as Driscoll extends his lead to about 2 seconds over Eric Smith. Wonder if Jason's going to be able to run down Smith with the way that he's showing pace early, or will his car start to fall off with his setup that he's got in the car?
Hey guys, quick update on Carpentier. Now I know he had contact, but honestly guys, the car looks to be in pretty good shape. He's still tracking on Kevin Hill. He's got Dick Mueller filling up the mirror though at the moment. Dick sliding that car all over the place here at the moment, still trying to get some heat under it.
Emile chasing down Kevin Hill now through the fountain section as he gets a little bit close behind. Oh, but a big bobble coming into there certainly slows him up. So the time that he has gained gets lost once more as he almost gets into the wall once again. So though he was starting to threaten Kevin Hill, that has fallen out of favor, unfortunately. He regroups and tries to regain that ground. I can report that Scott Corbin has had to take a tow. He's gone into the pits. Another slide, tries to stay out of the wall. Carpentier is just all over the place right now.
Okay, so I said the car was okay. Maybe it's not okay. Maybe it's a little bent up, and he's struggling with it at the moment. But he's still right there on Hill's wing, keeping up.
And Marcus Tracy's now had problems. Christian has managed to catch that incident. He was put sideways, Christian. That brings up the point that the stewards had made about track blockages.
Yeah, I mean, in the European race we had earlier, I think everybody was pretty good about that. We were told beforehand that if we did kind of loop it around, and it was going to be extremely difficult to get it pointing back the right way, and we were kind of around a blind corner that we should just tow immediately. And people really did that earlier, so I'm hoping we'll see that again for the 2 races tonight.
Briefly was able to get it going. Tracy did pull into the pits because he was right before the pit entrance. There goes another car. Who was that we just saw ducking in? Try to get that a little bit later as we watch some of the Alliance drivers weave their way through 1 and 2. No change in the top 4 currently. Actually, top 5 even. Blake Reynolds still there.
Yeah, that's is that Warling on screen right there? I think Travis just wrapped the wall himself. He's got some wing damage on that machine now. It's bent up a little bit.
And drivers are starting to get lap traffic. Ross Banfield just was lapped by our leaders. Corbin has been lapped, but I think that was while he was in the pits. Brian McGreevy going to be the next one. Here we see Driscoll, our leader, now up by about 2.1 seconds. And Christian, with no cautions like we have in the real IndyCar, no full course cautions, I have to imagine would it behoove Steve to kind of maybe back it off just a little bit so that he can keep the car whole as long as he keeps that gap?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the position he's in, he's better off just being conservative and kind of running it to the stop and then basically working out the rest of his race from there. I think if you push the issue, you're just going to make things worse for yourself.
More cars having to peel out of the way as they're coming down to turn 3 here. A little bit of action between Carpentier trying to catch up to Dick Mueller, but Dick Mueller, who has recently taken that spot, starting to stretch away. Now on to the back stretch. Once again, it seems like Carpentier squirming every time he tries to get the power down. Sean, I'm starting to suspect that Emil is just saving his spare car until he gets to the pit stops, but right now it's looking diabolical.
Yeah, I want to use the word evil, diabolical, however you want to classify it, but he puts it in there really deep.
Holds on to it.
Emil is just really got her on the edge right now, and he pays again with a little brush of the wall there.
That's how many? 3 times now that Emil has caught the wall and it's still going on. My goodness. He's going to run out of rabbit's feet eventually. Oh, and Blake Reynolds! Championship implications.
Oh, no.
Big damage out of turn 2. He's trying to limp the car around, but I'm not sure this is such a good idea. Got the replay here.
Well, watch his hands here. I don't know. Maybe Christian could explain it a little bit better, but he just lost the grip. It seems like they're hit the bump.
Yeah, I'm just checking the onboard now. Yeah, it looks like he just gassed up slightly too soon. Exactly like I was saying, you just push it a little bit more each lap, and eventually it just bites you. It's again pretty similar to what Walling did. It's so easy to do on that corner.
And I still try to drive this thing around.
And he was closing on the little train. Yeah, boy, he's really struggling to get that car in. But he was closing on Lionel Callisto for that 4th spot.
So unfortunately, this is going to set his pit stop strategy a little bit off, as we're not expecting cars in until about lap 12. Ooh, it's narrow through this fountain section for him. So we've switched up to Eric Smith, I believe this is. Oh, this is now we're on our current championship leader Blake Reynolds. Managed to get through there, but I don't know how. Taking a look at 8th position, Liam Quinn holding back Lance Nasir, as well as Andrew Oakey. This is a 3-car fight chasing down the backstretch.
These guys all up 4, 5, 6 positions. A lot of it from attrition. You talked about Reynolds having trouble. If you want to talk big picture, though, Matthew Thunhorst is well back in the field as well, racing in 20th. His nearest competition in the points.
We saw a big bobble there from Lance Nasir, and that slows up Andrew Oakey coming through turn 11. So both of them fall off a little bit of the car ahead and continuing to struggle. Lance finding the car wobbling. Same thing with Oakey now coming off the corner. This is a very graphic illustration of why drivers like Christian Challoner, who are of an incredibly high caliber, really not enjoying driving this race.
Yeah, Jimbo Pfeiffer has put it in the wall. This is just brutal. This is a multi-discipline series, and this is where Liam Quinn, this is his specialty.
Oh, Emil's had trouble, guys. Carpentier is around, trying to pick up the replay here on screen.
And
yeah,
I almost think it started in turn 2. Because you can look at the wheel. Yeah, it was already off, and then he couldn't make the corner.
Basically, this is an exhibition. It's turned into an exhibition of who can limp their car around the track better. There's a lot of drivers trying to not have to take a tow.
Carpentier is one of those who's still going in 14th. And we're still only on lap 9. And this is only the first race, mind you. There you see Carpentier just cannot turn right. I think he's almost going to have to take a tow to get this thing back to pit lane.
29 drivers took the grid. Only 20 of them are on the lead lap right now.
So we switch back up to Steve Driscoll, who's extended it now to about 3 seconds ahead of Eric Smith. And interestingly, he's got a bit of a hand here because his teammate Travis Warling, who is a lap down, is between himself and Smith. Now, while they are told to give way to faster drivers if they are a lap down and heed the blue flags, obviously he doesn't have to do this right away.
Now, this is right at the very front of the pit window. I saw drivers go as far as 25 laps in other regions. That would put you 10 to the end. So this is right at the very, very opening of the window.
Guys, we got a great battle going on back here for P7. Honestly, they've been linked up since the race started. Quinn, Nasir, and Oakey really racing hard now as we're working lap 11 here.
That's Nasir you see in the black car. The yellow machine of Oakey is behind him. Oh, and Oakey is way hot into turn 1. He gathers it together and keeps from losing it. He saves the car, but he loses ground on the 409 ahead of him. Christian, you were telling us before the race about just how hard it is to follow, and that looked exactly what Andrew experienced there. Yeah,
turns 1 and 2 are actually probably the worst for the aero push because you kind of get drawn into this idea that you'll get a big run down the next straight, but you can't stay close enough to them. So then you overdrive, kind of like he did right there, and then that's when you can have this really dangerous moment of you end up offline for 1 and then offline for 2, and then you're in the wall and you're around. So you have to be very, very careful of the aero push.
Up in 3rd place ahead of this. It's a battle for the podium, but it's between teammates. It's the 2 Alliance drivers of Fleischle and Callisto. Go ahead.
Thunhurst was well in the back of the pack, but he just crashed his car. He was racing in 20th. Really wouldn't much care about a driver in 20th other than he sits 2nd in the points. So this is huge. Reynolds and Thunhurst both having rough days.
Could he maybe salvage it in race 2? We'll see. This is in turn 1 and 2. We're watching Thunhorst. And there goes the car.
Boy, we could just do a highlight reel from that turn alone, couldn't we?
Can I take
low light reel?
Can I take my spare car I was gonna use in the 2nd race and use it in this one? Can I use them both now? No.
Yeah, I don't think iRacing quite works that way.
All right.
Right on board with Callisto in 4th place, just behind his teammate. Both of these drivers on Alliance are champions in this series, we should point out. So this is no fluke that we're seeing the 2 of them fighting for a podium here. One thing that we don't get to experience at Indy that these Indy cars also use in real life is the push to pass. Did you find that pretty helpful for trying to make overtakes in this race, Christian?
It's mainly the benefit of it more is kind of an intimidation type factor, really, because it's still really hard to get alongside anybody, but if you can kind of use it tactically, especially around your pit stop, either if you're going to do a super fast out lap or an in lap, you can use it there, or if you kind of gradually catching up to somebody, you can kind of hit it a couple of times, and yeah, you only have 10 and you might use 3, but if you can frighten someone into thinking you're really catching them, then you can really use it to intimidate them rather than actually kind of get by them.
Push to pass is good marketing. Push not to be passes also applies though.
Jumps back to this battle for 7th place. That's Liam Quinn ahead of the riding shotgun driver Lance Nasir. As much as we've seen mistakes from these three, they can't seem to get away from each other, Sean.
No, there's not. This has been the gap again since the green flag dropped. Now be curious to see as we're starting to kind of get into that pit window, or, well, okay, let's say you can do it now. You need to run at least 12 laps. At least that's what Christian was telling us. Now they're probably in a window. Will they all come in together? They want to be partners on track. I think so far it's worked okay for them. The problem is that the guys riding behind, you're so dependent on those drivers in front of you. If something happens, one little mistake, there's really such little time to react here. You're probably going to get caught up into that. So you spend the whole race riding behind, waiting for that evasive move that may or may not ever come.
Don't need to go there. Carpentier had another spin.
And we are getting word that Thunhorst has retired from this first race. Going to go lick his wounds and try to set up for the next one. Meanwhile, the battle for 3rd has now become the battle for 2nd. Is Eric Smith slowing up, or is Jason Fleischle speeding up? So we follow them through the fountain section. Oh, and has Oki had a problem? He's fallen off.
He looped it, Christian, but was it a little bit of the aero wash, maybe?
I think actually what he was trying to do is he was trying to kind of keep real close and get a run down the backstretch, and they're both kind of off camber corners there, and you really do have to push to stay close to someone coming up onto the right, and I think through the left he might have put the curb a little bit, and it just moved him around. It's, again, very easy to do. The leader did it in the first race in the European split.
Nobody is immune. And that, there you see Oki was continuing on. Meanwhile, we're looking at that battle for 2nd once again. Fleischle trying to give chase. Callisto dropping back, though. He was really close to Fleischle. Now it's 1.6 seconds. I wonder if we missed an error from him.
He could be running out of coal. Possibly.
Through the fountain section, he tries to regain that ground and get back up to his teammate. This could be one of those really scary spots where we could get a track blockage down there through that fountain section. Now we are on board with Jason Fleischle just over the nose. Watching him swing it through and get right up to those walls.
What all the attrition and the incidents has caused is for lap traffic to be a bigger issue earlier in the race, as cars are spread out all the way around the circuit.
And only 15 of them on the lead lap still. You can see they're now working their way past the lapped car of Wayne Hutchison. Pulls off to the side nicely to let both Fleischle and Smith through. Fortunately, though, he has no place to escape to, coming through 5 and 6 to get out of the way of Lionel Callisto. Lance Nasir's falling down the order. Oh no!
No, he's right on the back of Quinn.
No, he's in. He was in the runoff there.
Oh, he's not. You're right. I thought this was a battle for position.
And the car, well, he didn't hit anything. Well, he took a tow. We were watching the replay there, and I'm not sure why he just gave up the ghost here, because he got the car turned back around, but just elected to take it back into the pits. Well, that will promote Andrew Oakey after his mistake not long ago up to P8 now. But he's lost ground on Liam Quinn because he had spun it earlier, so he's basically running on his own. On screen, you see Fleischle chasing Smith, but has lost a couple tenths of a second. So maybe Smith now responding.
Okay. Our first real pit stop from a guy who was racing up in 5th position is Kevin Hill. So he's the first of the leaders that are coming in. Oh no!
Hill's got damage now. I think Tam might be our first legitimate one. Tam's coming out now. He pulled in with no damage on that car.
Yeah, I can tell you what happened. Kevin Hill was dealing with some lap traffic and got distracted into the fountain section, goosed it too hard, and got into the wall. Probably too far back for a replay, but it did cost him a fair bit of time. And Fleischle has gotten into second ahead of Smith. What happened here? I think Smith might have gotten the wall. Oh, he just barely glanced it. Let's watch on the replay. That's Smith up ahead. We're on board with Fleischle. He's going to lose the rear. Just glance it.
I think the left rear tire, when he came around, and I think the left rear got on the wall.
And amazingly, he did not pit that time. I would have thought he would have come in just to play it safe.
He's doing a good job of staying on the back of Fleischle. Maybe the car's feeling okay. But now this has brought Deliso into the mix. Okay, we're going.
Richard Tam, who I believe just took a pit stop, and I believe it was scheduled, has come out on cold tires and suffered the consequences. Another one in the fountain section. He got stuck there with just barely nudging the wall, but had to back it up and wait patiently for the traffic to get by.
Okay, now, so the leader of the cars that have pitted is actually Matthias Magnussen, who came in about 4 laps ago, guys. And now I believe that was a scheduled stop. I watched him come in. There was no repair on the car.
So currently in 12th on the lead lap.
Trying to emulate his cohort over in Formula One and have some success here. Oh, and Andrew Oakey with more problems.
Oh, no.
Tries to get it turned around.
That was Brian Bennett, guys.
Oh, no.
Destroyed the car, too.
This is exactly the sort of thing the stewards were warning about.
Okay, Joe, what's he supposed to do there? Is it a precarious spot? I mean, I'm not...
They're saying take a tow.
Take a tow, okay.
If you can't, They warn drivers that they don't want to see, and they've actually threatened to penalize people if they think they should have and did not. So
that falls into that category.
Yep. I think he's going to get to talking to after this race is over.
He's got some splaining to do.
Thanks, Lucy.
I thought that was Ricky. I see more drivers taking stops and coming off of pit lane. I don't know about you, Christian, but that pit exit always worried me, the way that it kind of dumps you right into a very quick and blind racing line.
Yeah, the pit exit's like frightening just driving the car, but then when you've got to watch for people coming around 1 and 2 as well, it's even worse. I mean, you just can't get completely full throttle. I don't know if you can kind of short shift a second and do it. I was just really breathing on the throttle, but I just I watched what happened to Tam actually, and there's a depression in the track right by where the fountain is, and it's so easy to make that mistake. It's probably the second most dangerous corner on the track, really.
I know I've had that loop me around when I've taken just about any car, even much lesser powered ones, through that portion. It looks like Mueller's taken his stop, and actually, Sean, is he our highest pitter now?
He is.
It is.
Yes. Yes, he is. In fact, he's gapping Matthias by just under 17 seconds.
Yeah, he has got a big lead over him at this point, Bill.
Magnussen has an interesting situation. He was the leaders of the cars that pitted. Now, that Mueller's now got that. But he's got Kevin Hill behind him. Remember, Hill was racing in fifth before he made a mistake. He came in and got a fresh car. Hill's going to be on the hunt here.
Still waiting for six.
Oh, sorry, Joe. Mueller just makes a mistake on those cold tires. Has to lock them up. Avoids hitting the wall. It's a great save. We'll see it on the replay.
This was almost in the exact same spot that we saw with Tam. This was what Christian was just talking about. Wow, that was a great save, honestly.
Could have been a race ender.
Lucky he had nobody behind him in the process. So we come back live. We're still waiting on 7 cars, actually, yet to pit. Wayne Hutchison is well down the order. I don't see him having taken a stop, but Driscoll, Fleischle, Smith, Callisto, Quinn, and Archer up at the top of the field are running long on this one. Here's our leader, who's extended his pole now to 8 seconds in the race over Jason Fleischle in second.
Boy, I tell you, if there's a racetrack where you want a second chance, this is the one, huh? You have to do 70 laps. At least they break it up into 2:35 stints. If they went 70 laps, we may not have a winner. Maybe whoever goes the farthest.
It'll be an endurance race, but one more of who can step away or keep away from getting injured for the longest period of time. Clark Archer, one of our front runners, now pitting. You're on lap 21. Where is Mueller? Mueller's going to be able to go by, though. Yeah. But he will come out ahead of Magnussen. Or will he, actually? I guess it's a lot longer at the pit exit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really close, actually.
Magnussen is out, but again, he is out on cold tires. Excuse me, Archer's out on cold tires. Magnussen.
Oh, they're going to come out in a battle.
Turn 2. Oh, and our leader is in. So is Fleischle. Smith follows. Callisto. And, oh, did Quinn just get in the wall? No, he did not. Excuse me. It's just a very slow corner he was coming out of. He looked so slow out of turn 10. I just couldn't believe it.
And he comes in, so that's everybody.
And this doesn't surprise me too much, Christian. I guess as soon as you see the driver ahead come in, maybe monkey see, monkey do?
Well, I mean, I think that was the end of lap 23, so it was kind of tight to push it to 24 laps on fuel at the pace they were running. And with the gaps between them, it made sense for them all to kind of come in at the same time, because you get that best part with the traffic. You're not going to come out behind anybody that still needs to pit and so on. So it really made sense for those guys to run as long as they could.
Got a battle going on for 10th place. Oki and Tam were side by side for a moment, and unfortunately Oki gets backed up coming out of the fountain section. Could have had a run on that blue and red car. Continues to hassle him. We saw Andrew Oki have a problem into this turn 1 earlier on. Can he stay close without losing the front grip this time? Looks nice and smooth through turn 1. Looks to get the run off of turn 2. Takes it all the way out to the wall. And he has a fantastic run on Tam, who stays to the inside as they come down to turn 3 and fends him off. Could we see an over-under potentially? Oki thinks we can. He gets to the inside up to turn 4 and gets it done. Beautiful move by the 96. That moves him up into the top 10 now that all the pit stops have finished.
I think that's only the second pass we've seen on screen. I mean, from cars that are actually still racing in the right direction.
I think you're right.
Guys, poor Emile Carpentier, there's nothing to go look at. He had more trouble, unfortunately, back in the pits. Probably going to be there for a little bit.
I believe we've got 24 cars still going. Hutchison is the last car to take a stop, although he was well down the order.
Blake Reynolds is back on the lead lap, but I think there's another stop in his future, so that's a bit of a pole position.
Yeah, he's getting word he's going to have to stop again.
Yeah, he's in.
Back there it is.
Goes. So who are some of our movers and shakers in this race? Because obviously we've got opportunities for drivers who started in the back to climb way up the order. And there you see Brian Bennett with 14 gained in 12th position. And he's on the lead lap. He's joined by Richard Tam, also up 11. Magnussen with his early stop strategy seems to have fared well, up 11. Same with Clark Archer, up 10.
Yeah, and those two are going to be two to watch because that battle is really close. Magnussen, I don't think we've seen his potential yet. I think he's got something in store for these guys. Remember, he came in earlier than everybody. The car is getting lighter. No telling where he's at right now, but he's obviously got just enough to make it to the end. I like the way Magnussen's rolling right now. Lap time's still looking pretty good.
Worth pointing out, too, because we talked about the changing weathers. We ride on board with, I believe this is Hill in 9th place, trying to chase down Magnussen. Christian, the start time being a little after 10 a.m. virtual standard time, did you notice that the track was gradually warming up? Was it losing grip as that was a lapped car off? That was Jeff Schmeier.
To be honest, I actually didn't really notice that so much. It was mainly the cold tyres right at the start of the race. I did notice the difference between the first and the second race. The track is definitely a lot greasier in the second race, but I didn't really notice it heating up as it went on, although it definitely is a factor. So
10 laps to go, so they only have to survive a little bit longer in this race.
Our directors found this good battle. I think Archer in 7th might be the slowest of these three cars. Magnussen in this one, I really think I expect him to be up there racing with these guys soon too. Nice three-car battle for 7th.
Oh, and Richard Tam, all his good work goes away out of the fountain section. Spun the tires, and he did touch the wall, but I'm not sure that he damaged the car in the process.
He already had a spot of wing damage on the car, Joe, and
yeah, just a little bit on the right front.
Same spot. Yeah.
Spot of wing damage, is that for Christian's sake there?
So did that lose him any positions, though? Is he still in 12th? I think he didn't lose any positions with it. Sometimes this is a, seems like,
well, I think he lost
a race for the Dory Award here.
Lost it to Bennett, because Bennett was right behind him when it happened.
You're
that
right,
that was
right.
that fight.
So only one position down. Our leader is gapped Jason Fleischle by 7.5 seconds. It was as high as 8 in some. So Jason has gained some time. I wonder if that might be a little bit more due to traffic than anything, or perhaps Steve is managing this gap. Jason's really got nobody to fight with himself because he's left his teammate Kalisto behind by a whole 5 seconds. Jason's just hoping to bring this one home on the podium, probably.
I think our leader's biggest concern are not the guys that are racing on the standings, but rather just the lap traffic, because it's a landmine out there. It's a minefield. Cars are spinning all over the place.
Certainly seems to be. We need to give some credit to Driscoll, because even though he put it on pole, and Steve tends to race in these top split races, the pro splits, I don't think we've ever seen him be this dominant before. And for that matter, he's played this race so beautifully.
Yeah, again, he's minding the gap back to Fleischman, but he's also got to kind of mind the gap when he gets up on the back of the next car, which was Richard Tam. And Tam's had his issues.
And how often do we get to praise the unorthodox guys in this fashion? This is going to be a huge swing in points for his team, especially if he can follow this up with the next round.
And again, for new viewers, that's the name of his team. Joe was not mentioning that it might be left-handed or something. There you can see the team down below.
Hey, what's wrong with left-handers? Nothing.
Okay.
We're going to rule the world someday. At least that's what they promised me when I was a kid. So.
Have you ever been to the left-hand store?
I know of it. No, I have not been there.
Well, bummer.
Hey, you know what? We've been missing a very important point. Now we've got Christian Challoner here with us in the booth. Does anybody want to know where he finished in race number 1 in the Eurosplit?
Let me guess. I don't know. I'm going to say podium. I'm going to say that I'd know if he won. 3rd position. How's that?
I feel like you watched that.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Riding on board with Eric Smith, who still sits in 4th. He's going to be ruining the mistakes that he made in this race, knowing that he could have had a podium of his own. He's right behind Lando Callisto. Callisto's not out of the woods. One little bobble could put the number 32 right on that gearbox. Love this look over the shoulder where we can see what the drivers are experiencing as they weave through the canyons of this Detroit course.
For the record, guys, Joao Valverde won the first race in the Euro split. In the international split, it was Cameron Dance. Sim Speed Sports own Cameron Dance, actually.
Back down in 8th position. We were watching this earlier. Magnussen and Hill. Hill's really gained ground here, Bill.
Yeah, he was racing in 5th till he had an incident, hurt his wing, took a long pit stop. He's got the pace to get Magnussen. I don't know if there's enough, if the track is wide enough for him to get it, but it'll be fun to watch. I don't think Mateus is going to make a mistake, though. I've been watching him the entire race. He is smooth, baby.
I'm curious on Christian's opinion. I know he's been kind of watching these two, and you've noted that Hill's been actually lapping pretty fast. I mean, do you think you can get this?
Yeah, I'm kind of actually surprised. I didn't think that Magnussen's early start was going to really translate to hurting him on tyres or anything, because they don't really fall off, but he is lapping significantly slower, and kind of knowing Matthias, I feel like he'll be content to sort of take the points as well if Hill makes a move, so it could be worth watching.
Yeah, it's 2 seconds between Matthias to Archer. He was only about 5 car lengths behind him earlier, so yeah, he is struggling to keep up pace.
Matthias, one of the drivers for the Kinetic Racing team where Christian hails from. So obviously I can trust Christian's opinion on Matthias. He knows how this guy races out there. With only 6 laps to go, the question is, can he withstand the pressure of Kevin Hill breathing down his neck? I tell you what, Richard Tam has recovered from his incident. He's also only 5/10 behind the Alliance driver Brian Bennett.
Remember, Bennett's the driver that went around him as Tam spun. So he's able to spin, run him back down.
Tam certainly seems to have some legs underneath him in race pace. Although Bennett had his own mistake recently, so that certainly contributed to him regaining that back. Just like a lot of drivers are discovering, the 879 cannot get close enough to the rear end of the 71.
Here's the deal, though. They want to get this settled down because the leader's coming up right behind them.
Oh, you're right. My goodness. That is Steve Driscoll.
Yeah, Driscoll's been stalking. He's been stalking for a little bit, and he's starting to close. You know, one interesting thing about Bennett and Tam, their best laps of this race, the time is exactly the same. It's a 1:14, 8:14.
5 laps to go. There you see our leader in the background coming up on this battle for position. Precious points between these two, so they're not really going to want to hop out of the way. And that's Jimbo Pfeiffer that we saw getting back on track, another Alliance driver. Going to try and limp it home to the checkered flag.
Blake Reynolds just nosed it into the wall and is taking a pit stop now. Now, he's already taken 2, so this is 3rd one. He's done. In fact, he put it in the wall in pit lane. Thunhorst and Reynolds both with horrible days. But another race to come.
Well, it's a sad sight to see that riding shotgun car in that sort of condition.
Well, those black stripe drivers, they just don't know how to deal with adversity. booth. I got one sitting in the booth with us.
Yeah.
Steve Driscoll continues to lead, but what about the battle for third? Smith has responded now. He's chased down Callisto. He's within 0.8 of a second. Can he get close enough to do something with very few opportunities left on the track?
I think poor Eric's got to guard against overdriving the car just a little bit. He just took it in a little bit deep, had to get on the brakes a little bit harder than I think he had previously there. That's the thing I'm looking for here with the closing laps. You want that position, but again, you got to remember you're points racing here a bit, and you don't want to crack the car up in the last 2 laps. And Smith is right now dealing with that. He's trying to guard against it. Go, Sue.
Let's go to Tam on a replay. I think he just put it in the wall right in front of our leader. And this is what Driscoll had to worry about.
He did indeed.
Be wrong. He did get the wall, though, didn't he? Yeah. Now, this is right in front of the leader.
Yeah, it's here in turn 4. I'm pretty sure. It looks like he
There
brushed
it
it
is.
on my screen.
Oh, you look at the wing is up here on the camera.
Oh, yeah. So once that happened, he decided there's no point in trying to screw up the leader. He pulled off to the side. He knew he wasn't going to catch the car ahead. But yeah, I agree with you on Smith there, Sean, to borrow a point from Brian Regan. Half race, half points. So the number 32, I don't think it's really worth trying to wreck the car and trying to get onto the podium here. I'm hoping for half of a snow cone after this myself.
Tam had to bring it in, yeah.
Oh, he must have just hit the suspension wrong. That is unfortunate. 2 to go. And Steve Driscoll has just managed that gap back to Jason Fleischle, holding it 7 seconds.
And leaving enough ground between him and Bennett if Bennett were to make a mistake.
Yeah, I think he's in no hurry to lap him.
Right. He's happy where he is.
Oh, man, Eric Smith, for a while, he was actually 3/10 behind Lionel Callisto. Maybe he really does want this third place. This is our closest fight up at the top. Number 32, not within striking distance down here, down the backstretch. Ooh, but he's squirming under power. Up ahead of them, Callisto has his friends Fleischle and Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer is a lap down. All 3 are Alliance cars. Look at that there. Nice job by Jimbo. Oh, but oh, I don't know how often you can go 3 wide. Oh, and was that Callisto into his teammate? And Eric Smith is upside down. The 4th place driver has had his race ended a lap from the finish. Oh, no. So our leader, who has seen none of these tragedies, is a half a lap from victory in the first race out of 2 here for round 8. Just behind the 11th place car of Brian Bennett, who I believe is going to be moving up to 10th place here soon with Eric Smith's retirement. Through the fountain section. And out of it, just 3 corners to go. All he's got to do is play it safe from here on out. Up to the finish line. Race 1 here in round 8 is going to go to Steve Driscoll here at Detroit. Fleischle is going to manage to bring home 2nd. Callisto withstood the pressure to take a podium. 6th place, though, is awful close between Archer and Magnussen.
Hill was in this battle. Hill just put it in the wall. We might take a look at that a little bit later. I think Archer's going to be able to hold him off. They got Wade Hayes, the lap car, who gets out of the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Magnussen's nearly close enough. He has to hope for a big mistake out of Archer from here on out. Into 12. And then 13 really is the only last real corner. 14 is flat out for these cars. Archer knows it. He gives that outside corner a wide berth. Give P6 to Clark Archer today. We've got a replay for Smith. I didn't even get to see the contact on this initially, Bill.
No, he was just chasing. This is the one we've been watching, and Smith was coming, and he was just a couple car lengths back. Actually, they were gaining also on Archer as well. And it bit him, and he made a mistake. There you can see the lap traffic that got him, and boom.
Yeah, it was Banfield that he got into there, unfortunately. Banfield was trying to get out of the way, just let a couple cars through, and, well, unfortunately, he was just in the wrong spot on the track there.
And you said it was Hill that had the incident with the other one?
Or are we looking for Smith that had the last...
Yeah, that's Hill going around right there on screen, guys. He spun out of turn 2. This is... Yeah, here we go. On board with Kevin Hill now.
Coming into the last lap, the last thing that you want is throwing away your race. A heart attack moment for him as he gets turned around, but eventually manages to get the car running once more. So let's go through our results for this first race of 2. Steve Driscoll is your winner. Jason Fleischle is going to be in second. Lionel Callisto manages to come home third, with Dick Mueller climbing from 14th on the grid to a 4th at the fall of the checkers. Liam Quinn with a 5th place, and Clark Archer with a 6th. Matthias Magnussen, 19th to P7. Andrew Oakey behind him in 8th. He had a few scares along the way. Kevin Hill, likewise, but takes 9th in the top 10, rounded out by Brian Bennett going from 26th to 10th. Bill?
Like when the drivers cooperate and put all the cars on the lead lap on the first overlay. Now we go down to the guys who had trouble. Eric Smith, we saw what happened to him. Trevor Clement, Taft Baldwin. Brian Barnes, a lap down in 14th. Richard Tam, boy, he had an eventful race, 2 laps down. Jimbo Pfeiffer, Wade Hutchison, 18th, 19th, and 20th. Lance Nasir, Jeff Schmeier, and Wade Hayes.
All right, then I've got Brian McGreevy there in 21st. Blake Reynolds, hard race for him, 22nd. Ross Banfield, a 23rd place run. Travis Worley, 24th. Emile Carpentier, 25th. 26th, DeMarcus Tracy. Matthew Thunhorse, 27th. Scott Corbin, 28th, and 29th going to go to Patrick Fleming, gentlemen.
So we're going to take it to a quick break. We'll come back with race 2 here in just a few moments, so don't go away for round 8 of the majors. Welcome back to Detroit. We're watching the second race of round 8 here in the majors. It is the Detroit Grand Prix. And after the first round, Steve Driscoll took the win, but now they've got to deal with qualifying, which has just started. It is a lone car qualifying, but they only get 4 laps to do it. Sean, this is going to be exciting out here.
Oh, yeah. And the track conditions have changed. We had a practice session here that started with 50% track state. We're now in the afternoon. And, with all that being said, these guys have got a chance here to get qualifying in under some different conditions than they originally qualified in throughout last week.
And very different from how they raced. Look at that. We saw on screen 117 degrees on track. Christian, I mean, what do you do with this setup? Because you've had very little time, obviously, here to get accustomed to this.
I mean, to be honest, there's not really a lot you can do. Really, all you would be able to do is kind of take that little bit of practice that you've just had to make modifications to your cue set that you had for the in-week cue. But this is so much hotter than anybody's probably practiced in. And I think this is really going to throw up some kind of interesting results, especially with the 4-lap kind of format, where you really get sort of two bites at it to put down a good time. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of big names kind of having a few problems in this session and maybe starting further towards the back than we would normally think.
Put the cat amongst the pigeons. Farther back you are, the more dangerous it is to try and stay away from everybody else having problems in front of you. Taft Baldwin coming around to try and put a lap in. We're still waiting on any car to get their first time lap down. They do get 10 minutes out here to put these 4 laps in. Is there any advantage, Christian, to maybe waiting to see kind of how everybody else does before you take off on your 4 laps?
You see, the thing is that kind of depends on how you choose to run the session, because it's only 10 minutes long, and it's kind of tough to get the 4 laps in if you're going to do a full 4-lap run. So maybe we'll see a couple of people wait a little bit, see if a cloud kind of comes over and get a little cooler with the track temperature, and maybe only go for 2 laps or so. But this is going to be really tough. I mean, the cue sets are definitely on a knife edge as is, because they're kind of a bit more trimmed out with kind of air pressures, cambers, that kind of. This is going to be really difficult for everybody here.
From Blake Reynolds' perspective as he crosses the line, and the first car to take a time is going to take pole naturally. But what about behind him? Travis Warling, I see, going to be the next one through, and he does not go faster. He's about half a second off, it looks like.
Yeah, but I think Blake needs a great effort here in qualifying if he's got any chance of salvaging this day.
And remember that Blake has already dropped 1 round for sure. And I'm trying to remember, I believe that was on the roadside that he missed. He's only run 6 of the 7 that we've completed. This is Kalisto, who was on the podium last time, and so far in his first lap, he's going to start from the podium, it seems.
This feels so weird. It's like seeing Sasquatch watching qualifying in a majors event. You know, we
watched in the
Eric having
so both Indy rounds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did. Oh boy. Well, that's going to make his day even worse. He was already pretty upset about the way the last one ran. Here's our winner from the other round, the other race, Steve Driscoll in the number 51.
I was thinking we might see as low as a 13.2 for pole, but that's looking a little bit optimistic right now with Blake with the 14.0 as fastest. I actually think his end pass experience might be helping him here, because we have to deal with this dynamic queue all the time, and being able to kind of do a lap under pressure like that is really a skill that you get from that series.
Driscoll coming around. This is going to be his first timed lap, mind you. As he crosses the line, where is this going to put him? No, it's not going to be his first time lap. First 2 laps, both of them have not counted for Steve. He is really under the gun now. So far up at the top, Warling has got himself onto the front row. Trevor Clement as well, who had a bad first round. He's sitting in third. Got a nice 1:14.2 in on his first lap. Oh, and he gets bumped down because now Matthew Thunhorst is in the mix. Continue to watch our drivers slot laps in. Oh, and Clement had a problem in turn 3, it looks like. So this lap definitely not going to be a good one. He'll get one more chance at it on the 4th lap. Patrick Fleming now currently running 6 in qualifying. Last one was not an improvement, but awful consistent. Listen to this. Oh, and that one's not going to be consistent. Never mind. So, well, his 3 timed laps that did count were consistent. A 14.6, a 14.7, and a 14.7 for Patrick Fleming. He gets slotted down to 7th now because Driscoll on his first timed lap finally puts it on pole.
Look, though, as you have Reynolds in 2nd, Thunhorst in 4th.
Man,
2 drivers fighting for the championship that did so poorly in the first round. Go.
Despite a 2nd place at the end of the last race, Jason Fleischle is not having a good time right now. He's down in 12th, and he's on his final lap right now. So we watch, that was Clark Archer there on screen. There's Fleischle working his way onto the backstretch now. Seeing if anybody else getting ready to come out for a final lap. Fleischle down into the fountain section now. Nearly losing the car there. So he struggles to try and take it to the limit. Jason's got a lot of positions that he'll want to be gaining in this lap. And again, this is his last chance. 4 out of 4 laps here. Let's see if this is any faster. He's going to stay in it to see what he can get out of it. Across the line, it is his fastest at a 1:14.8. And actually, that's a decent jump, but it still only takes it to 10th for him. Got some information from the Peanut Gallery that it was an oval race that Blake has dropped that he missed out on. But his last race at Le Mans puts him under pressure to get some good results here. Now, thankfully, again, it's only half points per race. So he could still recover. Emile Carpentier looking to have a little bit of a better day.
Hey, hey, hey! Trevor Clement.
Whoa. The Alliance driver on his last time around, a 13.7. Just barely a tick under a 10th faster than Steve Driscoll, our winner from the first round. This is Blake Reynolds on his final lap. Unfortunately, that last one looked like it did not count. Yeah, so Blake Reynolds is now done. That was 4 timed ones for Blake Reynolds. Unfortunately, 2 of them were not counted. Must have had offs or spins in there. Christian's been keeping an eye on who's the winners and losers for this qualifying. You were talking about how this could shuffle the cards. Who do you see that is way out of place so far?
I would say definitely the big ones is Eric Smith and Jason Fleischle. They've both kind of ran right at the front in the last race, and now they're currently 7th and 11th. So I think they're definitely the big losers. And I mean, let's just say it's a great lap by Clement there. It was really, really impressive, especially against the strength of field and the conditions and so on. I think he's. I think that's probably going to remember that lap.
For sure. And watching to see if anybody else has got a 4th lap. And no, looks like everybody is just finishing their last laps now. So let's go through our starting order now that it has been set for round 2. Trevor Clement snuck the pole away from last round's pole sitter and winner, Steve Driscoll, who is going to be on the outside of him. Then row 2 has Blake Reynolds, who DNF'd last round. He'll start third rather, with Lionel Callisto being 4th. Inside of row 3 has Travis Warling in 5th, Matthew Thunhorst in P6. Then it's Eric Smith, as we mentioned, out of place slightly, starting 7th. Patrick Fleming starts 8th. Neil Carpentier managed to put it in 9th, and top 10 qualifying is rounded out by Lance Desir. Bill?
Andrew Oakley inside Jason Fleisley in 12th, a little far down for him. Liam Quinn in the Baker's Dozen spot, flanked by Dick Mueller. Matthias Magnuson in the 15th spot. All ribbons and curls to Sweet 16. Ross Banfield, Kevin Hale, Richard Tam in 18th. Clark Archer and Jimbo Pfeiffer rounds out your top 20. Sean?
Brian McGreevy, 21st. Brian Bennett, 22nd. Wayne Hutchinson going to start 23rd, right next to Taft Baldwin in 24th. Wade Hayes, 25th. Scott Corbin will start 26th. Marcus Tracy going to start 27th. 28th, got to be Brian Barnes. Jeff Smyer, going to be the last car to start this race in 29th. Don't worry about Mike Willett. He just forgot how to get in the session. Big deal.
Rookie.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. All right, we're getting ready to peel away behind the Porsche pace car. Same deal, 35 laps, but with a slightly different starting grid. Now, did anybody learn their lesson last time about the start? It might not be as much of a concern about cold tires. Instead, with 118 degrees on the track surface, even though it is concrete out there, this could be very, very slippery just due to hot conditions instead of cold tires. Just got Wade Hayes, Kevin Hill, Carpentier Bennett, just a couple drivers that need to grid up. Maybe they're making last-second tweaks to the cars before we get going. See, they don't do a full pace lap here at this track. They just get it going off of the fountain section and then work their way around those last couple corners, then they'll be released. Everybody making sure to really perfect that setup, it seems, as we still got a couple drivers waiting to get out there. Real quick, I think we got time. Christian, do you have some notes on the setup tweaks?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it would normally be a thing of with the hotter weather, you might want to put more downforce on, but I'm pretty sure everybody's already running maxed out, so I kind of feel like everybody's got what they got, and it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Run what you brung here in IndyCar. Are we going to be able to get a different winner in this second round? Green flag is out as Trevor Clement accelerates away and absolutely leaves Steve Driscoll behind. Little battle for third behind them. Travis Warling for fourth, rather. And Lionel Callisto side by side. They've managed to get through there. But what about everybody else over the hump? Not seeing any cars in the wall quite yet. Wade Hayes did start from pit lane. So did Kevin Hill and Brian McGreevy. Meanwhile, up at the front, Trevor trying to make good with his pole as he's being hounded by not only Driscoll, but Blake Reynolds seems to have found some pace. On to the back stretch for the first time. Our top three hit the braking zone for turn 7. It's one of the trickier points, and this is where the first time that they know what they've got with these cold tires that are just getting warmed up. See if anybody struggles. I see a little bit of an off for Brian Bennett, who nearly runs into the runoff area and gets it going once more. And I think we had a little trouble farther back. Sean, what happened to Mueller?
Joe, he smacked it up, unfortunately. He was in a line with everybody else and just had a little bit of trouble. Cracks up the front wing, has to let a lot of cars by. He's dropping all the way back.
And once we watch this, Taft Baldwin also had a hard hit into the wall. So let's see. Yep, you can see that car is very, very badly crabbing on its way down the backstretch.
Yeah, he missed his braking point and just nosed it in.
Back up to the lead. That is Driscoll you see in the blue and purple car giving chase to the Alliance machine of Trevor Clement. They have not separated all that much, though they have gapped the cars behind them. The other unorthodox driver, Travis Warling, is dropping off there. You can see the gap there a little bit in the background. Now as they hit the fountain section for the second time in this second race.
Yeah, that fountain section is so deadly as well. It's, especially with how hot it is in this server, it's probably going to be the place to watch after the pit stops, actually. And I think you'll see the most action there with struggling with the fresh tires.
Riding on board, and I think we had another problem with Tam, and it was the same place that he had a problem last race, coming into the first left-hander of the fountain section. He did touch the wall. Let's watch the replay here. And he made good use of one of the few places where you've got grass to pull off the racing line and then get back going. As we come back, I tell you what, Steve Driscoll is starting to apply pressure up here, Sean.
Yes, he is. The get a little hot under the collar up front. Driscoll, of course, had a pretty solid race in race 1, and he is, well, he's back on the hunt. Didn't have to do a whole lot of hunting in that first race, but now he's getting to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to separate himself from Blake Reynolds, too, no doubt, as Blake continues to stay about half a second behind P2. These drivers have now gapped Warling by over a second behind them. I'm not sure that Travis really has the pace to stay with this top group. Taking a look, you got a bit of a battle happening for 8th with Lance Nasir and Andrew Oakey. Don't forget Jason Fleischle is in there. Oh, Carpentier in turn 2 has to take a tow after a big wreck.
Right in front of Smith, and he gets around him.
I think he had a bit of a glitch, unfortunately, with the wall.
I noticed that Smith was putting him under a ton of pressure, actually, the previous lap. Was trying to pass him down into 3, so maybe that kind of got to him, and he was trying to get a really good run through 1 and 2 to kind of defend against that, and it's just lost it.
Thankfully, nobody seemed to have gotten into him, though he was stuck there right in the racing line. We've jumped on board with Blake Reynolds, just behind Steve Driscoll, who has fallen off from Clement. What happened here? Checking to see if I can find a mistake. Was there contact in turn 3? Oh, there. Yeah, okay. So if we could rewind about a lap ago to turn 3, Driscoll and Blake Reynolds actually got slightly together, but it was, I think, more due to both Driscoll and Reynolds outbraking themselves at the same time at that corner. Here it is, right here. Oh, maybe this one. I wonder if we went a lap too far. It was... We'll come back live, and as that was happening,
and Reynolds has lost it!
Oh,
no.
Reynolds had just gotten by, and Driscoll sneaks through the incident as Blake Reynolds loses it out of turn 5.
Not sure if Driscoll got through cleanly. I think he might have. Might be a great view on board Travis Warling if we get another chance to look on this one. Warling is the second car. They have been fighting, and there you see it. Wow, and Warling gets by through.
Have we finally found the weakness for Blake Reynolds? Apparently it is Detroit into the IndyCar. Twice now, he's made mistakes on his own.
Yeah, here's that onboard Warling, and he just gets by.
Whew. Great avoidance by both unorthodox drivers. So this promotes Warling up to 3rd. Smith, who I know Challenger has been watching behind the scenes, he's made great inroads here, and he's being handsomely rewarded.
Yes, Smith has been extremely aggressive, and it's really paying off for him, actually. He's obviously benefited a little bit there with Reynolds having that mistake, but yeah, I've been impressed with Smith. He's been aggressive, but he's kept it out of the walls, and he's really moving.
So I'm sure he'd love to make up for that missed podium last round. He was fighting for third for much of the race and then wound up wrecking on the final corner. Or excuse me, on the final lap, rather.
Nice battle back here for 8th, led by Matthew Thunhorst. But it really gets tight with Quinn, Magnuson, Banfield is in this mix, and Archer. You can see it on the tower over there to your left, how close those drivers are together.
They got a lapped car they're trying to go by. That's Dick Mueller, who I think is dealing with a little bit of damage. He's going incredibly slow, and he's in a horrible spot for Clark Archer, unfortunately.
Hard to find a place to hide on this track.
Certainly is. Through 1 and 2, Thunhorst continues to lead the train. Actually, that's starting to become Fleming leading the train. Is he gaining on Fleming?
Yeah, it's Fleming coming back into the train. Yeah, Thunhorst is on the move.
So,
Plus, he's got this opportunity again. He already saw Reynolds have trouble in the first round. And now here it is again. What an opportunity for him to close up some points.
yeah, I'd say that a few drivers are looking to snag some unexpected points this race. We're only 7 laps into this 35-lap second event of the day.
And how about Reynolds? He's back out on track. Attaboy.
Yeah, I think he knows how valuable every little point is. Christian, you know how valuable every little point is. He was your main rival last season in this series.
Yep, and that's really how he won that, was just by being more consistent than I was, and he kept bringing home points, top 5s and so on, and really that's actually the European division this year, is to just, rather than go out and out for race wins, to just go and bank the points, and that's how you win the championship.
Let's go to 5th real quick. I'm sorry,
yeah, we saw a pass. Worley managed to go by Driscoll.
Oh, and I'm sorry, that was going on. Nasir just got around Kalisto.
Lots of action happening now, so seems like... oh, and Clark Archer's had a problem. Clark Archer has found the tire wall, I think, in turn 3. Or did he manage to stop before it? I think he managed to avoid any damage. Let's see from on board. This is why they invented escape roads. Has to wait for a clearing in the traffic, and he gets going, but he's all the way down to 13th, number 29. Riding shotgun is known for being stronger at ovals, Sean, and I think that this street course is really biting them hard today.
I was just thinking it's eating their lunch, man. Literally. It's not... I'm used to seeing the Woody run around in better style. They're struggling with it today. And again, the temperature continues to go up. It's now 120 degrees, and there's no end in sight to the rising temps here.
Yeah, I don't think it's just eating their lunch. It stole the lunch money, ate the lunch in front of them, and then gave them a wedgie today, the way it's been treating these poor drivers. Here comes Smith, though, Bill.
Yeah, we've been watching him, and he is closing up. Now, once Driscoll got passed by Worley, he's really come under attack from Smith. Remember, Smith had such a good run last round.
Oh, no. One of our top drivers, Jason Fleischle, has found the wall. Big damage on that Alliance car. Turn 3 finds another victim. There you see just the tail end of it smacking the inside barrier on the concrete. Already had a little damage, it seems. Left side not looking too great. Goosed it, and there's the wall.
And this is a totally different animal than what we saw the first round, where we had a driver run away from it. Front 4 cars all within 3 seconds of each other.
I'm still kind of confused, though, between Driscoll and Warling. These are teammates. Maybe I shouldn't be confused, though. And it looked like a coordinated pass that we saw between them. Warling just shot up the inside as Driscoll braked early. Maybe they decided that Warling is the faster of the two, as Kalisto's struggling here. What happened?
Yeah, he's been off the pace for about a lap.
Wonder if he caught the wall? Is this another turn 3 incident? Who's that behind him? Is that Magnussen? One of the Kinetic drivers.
Yeah, it was Quinn and Magnussen coming through there, Joe.
There's some definite damage on the left side of his wing.
I think this all started even before the same time that we watched Warling get around Driscoll was the same time that Kalisto was getting passed by Nazir, and I think he's just trying to get to the pit window.
Well, they're on lap 11, so he's awful close to making it. We should see some pit stops relatively soon. But I was talking a little bit before about Warling and Driscoll. He has left Driscoll behind by about 1.5 seconds. So this certainly does seem like there was some sort of team orders going on. Travis, in the meantime, has continued to pressure Trevor Clement. And actually, Warling much faster. Look at the times. Every single lap has been quicker. Wow.
Oh, Scott Corbin just had a problem, Joe.
He did find the tire wall in turn 3. Yeah. Just a light touch, though. Kinetic car accelerating down the stretch towards this 90-degree right-hander. Deceptive. It looks so simple, and yet you've got to get every little bit out of it, and he got too much out of it.
He's able to roll right out in front of Barnes and Wade Hayes and keep position on them. Schmeier and Hill got by.
Oof, my goodness. Travis Warling is getting very, very close at this one. He was within 2/10 of a second into turn 3. He's had to back off due to the wake of our leader in the 111. Now right on board down the backstretch.
Dick Muller just pancaked it. No reason to go there. He was well in the back, but I think he's out of spare cars now.
And we haven't have we had any scheduled stops yet?
Not scheduled ones. No.
I see Kevin Hill has been in and out, and that was that was 12 laps ago. Excuse me. I was looking at the wrong stat.
Yeah, I think we're waiting. Kalisto should be the guy coming in first. He's sick. He needs some pit medicine.
I am glad you mentioned Kevin Hill, though. He did just pull off a pass, actually, on Wayne Hutchinson.
Yeah, and that puts him into 16th position. So there you see Kevin Hill, just only one position up from where he started, frankly. I'm not sure that Kalisto knows that he has damage, Bill, because he's still going.
Oh, Lionel, listen to Sue. It's time to pit. How can he not? It's right there. I'm surprised he can see the
Have you driven one of these open wheel cars?
Helping
Christian, how well can you see the wing from inside this cockpit?
It depends on if you've kind of moved the camera height up a little bit. I think most of us did that to try and see a bit over the protection devices on the nose now, so I could see the top edge of my front wing a bit, but I am really surprised he didn't pit the last time. You could definitely have made it from there, and he's just losing so much time by staying out like this.
We'll see if Little Train eventually elects to come in, but we come back to the battle for first. Travis Warling saw his teammate run away with it, and he is going to try to imitate him here today. This is very, very close this time if he gets a good launch, and there's traffic up in front of our leader too. That could hold him up. That was Richard Tam trying to pull out of the way. The Alliance driver manages to get the launch decent enough. Warling thinks about it as he looks to the inside of 3, but he's way too far back.
Oh, boy.
This is getting ever tighter, though. Just one moment like that could cause Clement to lose out on the lead.
Now you'll see at the top of your screen, Driscoll makes it around Tam, as does Smith. So that battle continues for third.
This is just phenomenal from Eric Smith. He is only 3 seconds behind our leader, considering he started this race in 7th. That's keeping pretty phenomenal pace.
Yeah.
Having to overtake cars and still be able to keep up with the fastest drivers on track. See the counter on the laps continue to move farther upward, and we're still waiting for drivers to take scheduled stops. Nobody really seems all that interested. Oh, and then another attempt for the lead, and it doesn't quite work. Oh, it does! Off the corner, Trevor Clement gooses it too hard. He not only loses the lead, he falls down to 4th position. We saw the attack coming. Bill, I wonder if he just got distracted with that bright blue car in his mirror suddenly.
Yeah, he was working really hard, though. Warling had the pace, and it was he finally got him.
Warling has now gone from 5th on the grid up to the lead. We didn't manage to see a lead change last time, but Warling has made it finally come true as he laps the car of Taft Baldwin.
And I know this is going to seem dumb, but that's just one less car for Smith to pass, as he's now up to 3rd.
No, you're right. He's on the podium now.
Yeah.
And he's got a handy gap back to Clement after he had to get the car going once again with his near spin. In fact, I think Smith, is he gaining on Driscoll?
Yeah, well, Driscoll's stuck behind Taft Baldwin right now, having a hard time getting around.
We're in a horrible place here. A quick series of right, left, and now Baldwin can pull out of the way and let them through.
Callisto's in, guys. Wing replaced on the car. Fleisch's in also.
I wonder if this is a team scheduled stop. Callisto's back out. Where is he going to rejoin? He's going to rejoin in traffic, and actually he bangs wheels. That was with Scott Corbin from Kinetic.
Comes right at into a battle. There's Blake Reynolds right there too.
And Corbin has hot tires, while Callisto does not, but he's going to make good use of that inside line. Callisto settling into 17th. Christian's been keeping his eyes down on the pits during these stops. As this battle going to continue, though, as Corbin now being overtaken potentially by Blake Reynolds. And is that a lap car? Schmeier to their outside. Yeah, no, that is 4th position. Schmeier outbrakes himself, and in one corner, 2 corners, loses 3 spots.
Schmeier's having some connection issues. He wasn't even on my screen for a moment there.
Boy, Blake Reynolds is all over the rearview mirror of Scott Corbin, though, as he's been trying to get by for a while. We've been watching this. He's onto the front stretch. Going to be a defensive move down into the corner, but somehow finding the grip the long way around a turn 1. Blake Reynolds got the bit between his teeth. I was going to, now that that's finally settled down, I was going to talk to Christian a little bit, because you had been watching the pit lane and you noticed something interesting about Fleischle.
Yeah, right when Reynolds actually had his moment, Fleischle had one as well coming out of turn 3, and he just kind of clipped the edge of his wing, and I think that was hurting him, and I think that was a factor in why he pitted as well, to kind of get that fixed so he can get back out there and back up to speed. I'm really surprised that Callisto went as long as he did before he pitted, though. He was he was clearly losing so much time by staying out like that.
This looks like he was trying to split it exactly halfway. And he has come out as the highest driver who's done a scheduled stop. Kevin Hill is ahead of him, but Kevin's been out for 17 laps now. So we expect the 52 to take a second stop.
Nice battle with Liam Quinn and Matthias Magnussen here.
Two kinetic drivers going at it. This is for 8th position. And I do believe I see Brian Bennett taking a scheduled stop. Down into the fountain section. Quinn continuing to lead. There is Brian Bennett in the number 71 trundling down looking for his stall. Actually, no, he's done with his stall. He is coming back out. Thankfully into clear track.
Well, Joe, you asked if the drivers might learn their lesson from the first event. I'd say they have. They burnt their hand on the stove, and now they know not to touch that again. They're doing a much better job this time around.
I'm seeing 26 cars still out on track currently.
Yeah, 20 on the lead lap. Yeah, this is a little more respectable.
As the temperatures continue to rise to make it all the trickier, though. It's 121 degrees on the track surface. Remember, it started around 117. I guess even in Detroit, it gets pretty hot here in the middle of the summer. The sun starts to bake down onto the surface.
Hot time in the city, baby.
Yeah, we ride on board with Magnussen. Hot, and they're in the middle of a bunch of water, so it's got to be a little bit sticky out there.
I honestly think a lot of this race has been an experiment in weather and just how hot it could get on an iRacing track surface. It's up to 121 now, guys. Have any of you ever seen it hotter than that?
I want to say we have, but we're looking at a battle on screen between Smith and Driscoll. He's been chasing him for a while, and he's now reeled him in. Driscoll with a little bit of damage we're seeing on the wing. Looks like he came back. So a little bit of the internet playing tricks on us. To answer your question, Sean, I believe we've seen as high as 125 before. More pit stops happening. Nasir takes his stop. Magnussen is already done with his.
It'll be interesting to see how Magnussen comes out in relationship to Quinn. They were nose to tail.
Just wait till they get some of the... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Nasir comes right out into a battle with Kalisto. Kalisto coming around. He's going to get the spot. Move Kalisto back up to 13th now.
And Nasir had a long stop, 23 seconds stationary. Maybe he was speeding in pit lane? Yeah, that looks to be about the case, I believe, from what a 15-second penalty would be. But wait till they get some of the tracks out in the Middle East, such as Dubai and all the tracks out there. Run a race in the middle of the summer and a clear day.
I think he might have blown an engine. I think Banfield blew an engine.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if Soup is on. He did. Soup is on to something here. Yep. A trail of smoke comes out of the rear of the car. He's dead in the water.
It is hot out there.
And the top drivers are still close together, although Driscoll, even though he's lapping near to what Worling has been lapping, he's been dropping off. It's about 1.7 seconds between himself and the leader.
There are some battles that I just don't get all that excited about. Fleming and Thunhorst are in a nice battle, but they're teammates, and it's basically a parade. This is for 5th position.
Oh, in fact, not anymore. Thunhorst is gonna... He's going to leave the parade, and he's going to take his pit stop. So right now, Matthias Magnussen, the highest car to have taken a scheduled stop. Liam Quinn has also joined Thunhorst on pit lane.
This will be fun if we can pick up Magnussen in relationship to Quinn. Quinn's making that stop. They were nose to tail.
Magnussen's coming into the final few corners, 12 and 13 just now. Thunhorst is out of his stall, so is Quinn. And
Now
Thunhorst is out.
Yeah, you talk about the overcut here, and I really think that's going to play a factor. I just can't imagine that Magnussen was going to be fast enough. Here he comes. Quinn gets out. But now I guess he'll have the advantage with warm tires. But he's back by about 20 car lengths.
Yeah, I was going to say the only one that he's really got a chance on is Quinn. Certainly Thunhorst is well too far ahead for him to try and run him down. Looks like Steve Driscoll coming in from second place.
But Smith does not.
We're getting to the end of the pit window, though.
Yeah, now this is where I think this is going to be interesting because Smith, Christensen, let me walk through this here. Smith is out there on warm tires. The car is light. He should be faster on this lap than Driscoll will be on his out lap, right?
Yeah, he should, but he's having a little bit of traffic, and I think that might have actually been Steve decided to pit that lap rather than this next one.
Got it.
But it could definitely swing either way here, because I'm assuming that Eric's going to be in at the end of this one, and then we'll really see. If they come out close, I think it's an advantage back to Steve, really.
Yeah, that's Jimbo Pfeiffer ahead of Smith right now. And I think Christian might have been onto something there as they got up behind Pfeiffer, and that's maybe why Driscoll came in.
Yeah, real heads-up strategy call. Because it certainly seems like Smith has nothing for Jimbo Pfeiffer. He's just been stuck back here, and he is now going to pit himself. So where's Driscoll? Driscoll is coming through the fountain section right now.
And our leader is in as well.
Clement joins them, and I believe Patrick Fleming is as well. So that's pretty much everybody except a couple spare drivers down farther that have not taken their stops. So Driscoll, can he manage to stay ahead of Eric Smith even though Smith was on warmer tires? Smith is out now. He's trying to get his speed up. Driscoll's behind him, but again, he's got those tires up the temperature. Oh, did he actually brush the wall there?
I think he might have.
Oh. Driscoll may have made contact with the barrier out of turn 2. He overshoots turn 3 on top of it there.
It was close. Let's look.
As he's coming through turns 1 and 2. It's the exited 2 that we want to see here.
I think he's okay.
He got it pretty close.
But there you have it. Smith does get the pass made. I guess that would be the overcut. Did I have that one right?
Yes.
Yeah, he stayed out longer.
That's what they call it.
That was pretty much a perfect example of that, actually. You saw how he was just far enough ahead that Steve couldn't make an attack down into 3, and if Steve had been closer and he'd have been able to get on the inside, I don't know much against it, but because he had that gap, and I guess he must have really nailed his in lap, and despite the traffic.
Man, Driscoll's making me nervous. I thought that he had another brush coming out of 14, but I think maybe he managed to keep out of it. Excuse me, out of 13. He's wheeling the car, that's for sure. He wants to try and retake that second place. So, pit stops are done. Let's see who's won and lost out of that. Out of our drivers who finished their strategy. On screen, not only the winners and losers, that is a lapped car that they're going by, that's Wayne Hutchison. But it seems definitely Callisto losing 5 positions. But a nice gain from Clark Archer, up 8 spots. Oh, Magnussen. Magnussen's falling down.
Oh, he got into it. He got into the back of Ross Banfield.
Well, to be fair, Banfield overshot the corner.
Yeah.
And looks like on screen, I think, is Magnussen losing a spot here? That's Lance Nasir. That is for position, but Nasir might not know how much damage he has. They're going to go too wide into the fountain. There he gets by.
He was just ahead of Kalisto. And I'm not sure Banfield, I guess, is trying to get out of the way, but he forgot to brake in the process.
He was offline, so all of his markers had probably shifted a little bit. Brake just 5 or 6 feet too late. Yeah, see,
so
he's
here comes
pulling
the
over
car.
to let him through, and then suddenly the car's there again. That's what caused the damage on poor Matthias Magnussen's car. Enough damage that he has to come to the pits.
Oh.
Takes that
You know-
new front wing, and he should be able to get going again. Sean?
I'm glad I'm not going to get blamed with the curse on that, because we were looking at the positions lost and gain. He was having another race where he'd moved up through the field. It was up 7 spots, and well, again, I'm not taking the blame for that. I was thinking about it, but tough break for Matthias, really.
I agree.
Just
He's
a
fun to
great
watch.
guy today. Yeah, he really is.
Do psychic powers count if you think about it? Maybe you have an untapped talent there. Eric Smith is running away with his second place as Steve Driscoll falls off to about a second behind him now. But it doesn't look like Smith is faster than Worling. I'm actually curious how their pace compares. Worling is still our leader. Love to see a 5-lap comparison from the unorthodox car back to the V Apex car of Smith. Yep, look at that. That Smith is definitely still losing out. Pretty much every single lap is slower for Eric Smith. Just a couple ones that are faster, a half-second faster, actually on lap 24. But Travis Worling otherwise pulling away. And Blake Reynolds is in for a 3rd time?
Well, I think he had that into that damage, so I think this is...
He hit the wall again. He hit the wall again. This was in the fountain section. We don't need to show it. He simply outbraked himself, banged it off of the tires. Well, the 66 will probably be voting not to see this race return next season.
Yeah, he's probably voting that we certainly don't show the replay, I'm sure. But hey, okay, so real quickly, a good time for information here as this one's winding down. Where did Christian finish in race 2, gentlemen? Any guesses?
I'm hot. I got the first one. He's very consistent driver. I'm going to say 3rd again. I like 3rd and 3rd.
Joe?
I'm going to say he came in 2nd.
Okay, Christian, you wanna fill us in?
You're a lot more optimistic about that than I was, guys. I bagged a 5th in the 2nd race. I kind of didn't hook up my qualifying lap maybe as good as I should have done, and then
That's still good points, though.
oh yeah, well that was the thing. I maybe had an opportunity to get 4th near the end, but it's a choice between 5th and a lot of points, or maybe 4th, or maybe in the wall. So
Such wisdom for such a young age. My gosh.
And congratulations to Marco Mogren for winning that race number 2 in the Euro split, and
Really?
Christopher Norton in the international split took race 2.
Mogren's a name we haven't called in quite a while here on
Marco
GSRC.
Mogren did a little MWT, MX5 World Tour racing. Good for him. I believe he's... I'm going to guess. I could be wrong. I think he's Norwegian. I get that one wrong, but we'll see.
Meanwhile, Eric Smith must be listening to us because he's suddenly picked up the pace and has reeled in Travis Worling to within 2 seconds. He's only got 7 laps to go, though, and we've seen how difficult it is to pass. I think even if he gets up to the car ahead, I'm not sure he'll be able to do much with it.
Well, but lack of attrition is really not the friend right now of Worling, as there's a lot more cars on the track.
Ooh, battle between Liam Quinn and Lionel Kalisto, and Liam Quinn's going to come out on top.
That's Lance Nasir watching on as well. That's for a position.
That was an attack from Kalisto into turn 3 that was defended by Liam Quinn, but another run down the backstretch. And look at this. Here comes Lionel Kalisto. No defense down to the inside. Can he get the car wound up in time? Lionel Kalisto tries to, squirms on the power, but he's got the spot. Move the number 2 car into 7th.
See, Lionel, how easy it is to race when you got 2 front wings? It works better, baby.
He thought it was a cow catcher, you know, like on train. So he didn't think it did much.
Christian caught the pass for 10th. Archer made a mistake, didn't he, Christian?
I didn't quite see it because I actually flipped back to the P7 battle, yeah. But I saw it come up on my screen. I saw that Fleischle was catching him, and it got to within a half second. I was actually going to cut back to that after this one. Oh,
yeah, I think...
Nasir for 9th. Come off turn 2 and just looped it into the wall.
Oof. Bad luck.
Then he had
Lance Nasir.
Did a little bit of somersaulting down the way. Take your Dramamine, boys and girls.
Yeah, the only good news for Lance is that he's just a hop and a skip over from his home country, Canada. So at least he can go and make
guys,
home.
I know we're in a replay, but Fleischle just had trouble. Jeez, let's watch the replay here, and then we'll have to get to Fleischle. It's
yeah. It was right. It was immediately after
Banfield.
Cross Banfield.
Again. Oh, Banfield is having a rough day of getting out of the way of people.
Been a bit more of a minefield, unfortunately.
He's not going to have a lot of Christmas cards this year, guys.
No,
that tree
that's for sure.
Be a little empty. The mantle got to have nothing on it.
And you could see how close Jason was. He had nowhere to go on that.
That's that situation I talked about earlier in the first race. You know, you're following like that. Here, it's an ender, man.
Oof. Let's go back to our leader, Travis Warling. He is stuck behind Matthias Magnussen right now. Speaking of following cars, the Kinetic driver isn't really racing anybody directly right now. He is trying to chase down Andrew Oakey, but he's not exactly moving out of the way for Warling very quickly. Now it looks like he's going to pull off to the side for him. Smith had got it down to 1.5 seconds at one point, but it looks like even with that traffic, it's going back up slightly.
I really thought I expected to see Smith go by Magnussen as well, but he was well back.
And among this, our winner last race, Steve Driscoll, just set the fastest lap of the race behind them.
4 to go.
This is, let's see, was Warling on the podium last race? I'm trying to remember. Because if Driscoll manages to finish where he is, he's the only driver to podium in both races. I know Smith missed out.
Hang on a second. I think I can tell you that.
Look that up. That'd be good to know.
Going to be 3 laps to go at the line for Travis Warling. It is back down to 1.5 seconds. Wonder if it's that second half of the circuit that Eric is just a little bit faster than Travis. Because that's what we saw last time. Cut it down to this exact amount of time. Yet more traffic going to be in front of Warling. This time it is Andrew Oakey. Oh, and excuse me, there's a ton of cars in front of him. What is going on here? It's a convention.
One more to go, and he doesn't do it.
Oh, boy.
And that allows Eric Smith to try and sneak through. Jason Fleischle, who is a lap down, is trying to stay out of the way. It swings back in favor of Travis Warling somehow and all of that, but the race is on. That was
as fast as people have as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Andrew Oakey and the yellow machine that unfortunately outbraked himself that really kicked all that off. Everybody had to slow up big time. Eric Smith, and not only is he involved in it, but Steve Driscoll. It is a 3-car fight for the victory with a mere 2 laps to go this time by.
Warling P24 in race number 1, boys.
So yeah, Driscoll, the only one who will be able to podium twice this race, it seems. Oh boy, this could get interesting. How eager are the drivers going to be to try and take a victory? And how much are they thinking long-term for simply grabbing points? They come up to the stretch to turn 3 one more time. Worley looks relatively safe ahead of Smith.
I wish I knew how many push-to-passes were allowed, or pushes to pass. I'm not sure the
10,
plural
10.
of that.
They get 10, but we have no
What do I got
idea how
left?
many they
Yeah.
have.
Do they actually light up on the cars like they do in real life? Do they have the little thing on the side? For
Yeah,
these things?
there's a light on the steering wheel, isn't there, Christian?
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
believe
meant on
the
the
side
side of the
panel
car.
lights up in green, I think, but I'm not sure if we can see that.
Weaving their way through the fountain section. White flag is tantalizingly close for Travis Worling. He thought he had this one under control, and then just like that, at the snap of a finger, it all changed. He pulls away slightly out of that slow right-hander coming out of the fountain. Here we go. 1 lap to go. Travis Worling. It was an unorthodox driver who won last round, but he's 2 cars back from our current leader. Eric Smith, he was upset about the finish of the last race. This time he actually makes it to the white flag. He is close. He gets a good run. A defensive move at first from Worling, but he moves back to the racing line. Smith is close, but as they break, he can't make a dive to the inside behind them, outbraking himself. Steve Driscoll falls off. He's no longer a factor here, but Travis Worling definitely has a eager Eric Smith climbing all over that gearbox. Onto the back stretch. Smith still within reach. They've got some lap traffic. It's Jeff Schmeier up ahead of them. Will they catch him in time? Worling gonna go defensive. Comes back to the racing line, gives just enough space on the outside for Eric Smith. Smith inches away from the back. He actually makes contact now with Travis Worling, but that could be the death knell. Worling is able to pull away as Smith has to back off. 2 more corners to go. Travis Worling still coming up to that lap traffic, and unfortunately Schmeier is blinking now just to make matters worse. I think he'll be able to get to the end without issues. Travis Worling is going to win race 2. It is an unorthodox racing repeat here at Detroit. Incredible stuff for the finish. Eric Smith gave it his all. And in all of this, Clement was a good 16 seconds back and forth.
Christian, that battle right there looked very, very familiar to the battle that you had for 4th place there in race number 2 in the Euro region.
Yeah, it was pretty close. I think Eric actually had to push the pass left, and I don't think Travis did, but it was a really smart decision by Travis to cover the inside, go down into the fountain section, because I think if he hadn't have done that, then Eric was going to get him for sure.
It seemed like it. He was awful strong on the brakes. What a run by Travis Worling. Hats off to him as the rest of the cars stream across the line. Only 11 finished on the lead lap. Jimbo Pfeiffer going to be the last one. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. On screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Detroit. We're on Belle Isle where we just watched 2 races here for the Detroit Grand Prix, round 8 of the majors. And the second race was won by Travis Worling. Eric Smith really gave him a run for his money. Attempted a couple passes on the last 2 laps and just couldn't quite get the job done, but I'm sure he'll still be happier, I should say, than he was in his first race. Steve Driscoll finishes 3rd, our winner of the first race, and then Trevor Clement for Alliance finishes in 4th after starting it on the pole. Didn't have the race pace today. Matthew Thunhorst finishes P5 with Patrick Fleming coming home in 6th. Lionel Callisto qualified in 4th, but man, something happened in that race. He wound up in 7th place. Liam Quinn in 8th, and then Clark Archer, how about this? Qualified down in 19th. He finished with a 9th place. Kevin Hill rounds out your top 10, Bill.
Double O Jimbo in 11th. Fight for the last car on the lead lap. First car 1 lap down. Matthias Magnussen, fun to watch him race. Brian Bennett in 12th. The Baker's Dozen spot, Brandon Bennett in that one. I did that again. Andrew Oakey in 14th. 15th is Scott Corbin. All ribbons and curls is Wayne Hutchinson. Brian Barnes after him, 18th and 19th. Taft Baldwin and Marcus Tracy rounded out your top 20. Jeff Smyer. Sean?
All right, super. We'll move down the list a little bit. It's Jason Fleischle going to finish 21st. Wade Hayes with a 22nd place run. Brian McGreevy, tough day for him, 23rd. Blake Reynolds, boy, he just doesn't like this course. That's a P24 for him. Lance Nasir had a bad, fast IR18, but he winds up 25th, 26th. Going to go to Ross Banfield. I'll stop there. Richard Tam, 27th. Dick Mueller, 28th. Emile Carpentier. Canadian did not like this track either, and it did not like him. He finishes P29, and don't worry about the Mike Willett guy. He just runs everything around here, guys.
Well, running the first race into the ground certainly was Steve Driscoll, who had a fantastic job just dominating the field. Steve, you managed to win the first one, 3rd here in the second. This is going to be a nice haul of points.
Yeah, after the tough season we've had here at Unorthodox Motorsports, we just kind of buckled down after the mistake we made at the 24-hour Le Mans, of the 2.4 at Le Mans, and just buckled down and made sure we were prepared for this one.
We did notice that not only did you win here for Unorthodox in the first race, but your teammate Travis wins for Unorthodox here in the second race. I mean, what secret did you guys find?
About a week and a half ago, we kind of tripped and fell on a setup quirk that really helped us out. And we just kind of, just did everything in different temperatures and just kind of saw what the, the strategy and how it would play out. So the car could be adjusted during the race. So if the track was tight or loose, we could adjust the sway bars to get us to where we needed to be for the race.
Well, whatever the case, I'd say that you guys definitely need to clutch that close to your chest in case you ever have to race here again. I believe, is that actually your first ever win in the majors here?
That's my first win in the Americas region. I did win the 2.4 Daytona last year, but that was in the Atlantic division. But yeah, I'll take this one for the kind of the big side of the series. I'm really excited and happy to take home a first and a third.
Yeah, not many drivers get 1 win, let alone 2. So I think you ought to be proud. That was Steve Driscoll, winner of the first round and on the podium. Only driver to podium twice here in round 8. Up next, Sean is going to be talking to our winner in the second race, Travis Worling.
Travis Worling, congratulations. A big day for Unorthodox Motorsports. How you feeling, buddy?
Oh, thank you. That was fun. I'm really happy to get the win here, and then I'm so happy for Steve winning the first one and getting a podium in the second is huge for us.
It really, really is huge for you. I'm not going to ask you about the setup because, well, basically your teammate just gave it all away. But seriously though, what was the biggest challenge of this race for you? I know the track temperature probably caught a lot of you off guard here when you got started.
Yeah, the track temp, and then there's a huge crosswind, and the car just wouldn't turn. I made a huge front wing adjustment before the race, and it still wasn't enough. The thing just would not turn at all. So it was almost like racing in the rain in a sense, where you just kind of back everything down and just kind of try to survive.
Yeah, try to survive. Really the key to both races here. Man, you finished 24th in that first race. You come back and win this one. What does that feel like, just recovering? I mean, you obviously walk away dejected from that first one. What was your mentality going into this one? Just recover and best finish possible? Did you ever imagine winning?
Oh, yeah, no, after the first one, I was mad. I was extremely mad. And going into this, I don't know if it's the best mentality for going for the championship, but I was just like, I am winning this race no matter what. I wasn't happy with qualifying fifth for the second one either. So I was just like, I'm going to win this. I don't know how, but I'm going to. So I need to get mad more often, I think.
Well, folks, that now you know, don't poke the bear, okay? Because when the bear gets angry, well, he wins races. So, Travis, congratulations to you and Unorthodox today. I'm sure you guys would be fans of bringing Detroit and the IndyCar back at this point, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun idea. I would enjoy that.